Hello friends, my name is Shayla and today I am here to wrap up my recent reads. So basically this is everything that I've read since Contemporary-a-thon ended. So from like the end of the third week of September until last night, which was October 5th. So this is a little more than like my end of September wrap up because I've read so much this week. I decided to add in this week as well because it made more sense to put it there, and then I'll just do one October wrap up at the end of October. So hopefully that all makes sense. It was a little all over the place in the explanation, but alas, let's go ahead and dig right in. So first we're going to talk about the things that I read via my Kindle, and I'll just insert pictures here for each thing. So the first one we've got here is Say Yes to the Marquess by Tessa Dare. I have recently been exploring Tessa Dare's works. I've really been enjoying this exploration. I think she's a really fun author. I've really been enjoying everything I've picked up by her, and I really enjoyed Say Yes to the Marquess. I thought it was great about a woman who had been engaged to a man for 8 years. He never really moved forward with anything. They had multiple opportunities to get married in those 8 years. They didn't. So she goes to his brother while he's away to try to dissolve the engagement because it was a legal and binding thing. So things happen from there, and I really thoroughly enjoyed this. Again, Tessa Dare's wit and humor was throughout this novel, and I really enjoyed it. The next one I'm going to talk about is The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. This is essentially about two men and this cat and kind of their life with this cat. It does, this is kind of a spoiler but not, it is sicklet as I call it, so it deals with a man with cancer, and so you've got that underlying tone, and it's really fun. They've actually made a movie out of this. It was originally, I can't remember if it was Japan or like Taiwan. It was released in that, on that side of the world first, and it's finally making its way to the US here soon. I got sent this for review through NetGalley. I ended up really enjoying it. I gave it 4 stars. If you like cats and can handle the, you know, cancer underlying story part of it, I do suggest picking it up because I did really enjoy my read of this. Next up, we're going to talk about Blinding Night by Chantal Guettery. This was an arc that I was kindly sent from Parliament House Press. Thanks to Parliament for sending this on to me. This is a Hades and Persephone reimagining. I wouldn't exactly call it a retelling because they've put a twist on Persephone. So essentially in this book, you have Hades continuing to track down human reincarnations of Persephone. So because Demeter was so mad that Persephone ate of the pomegranate seeds to stay with Hades and have to come back and live in his realm, she goes to Zeus. Zeus makes her mortal, and Demeter makes it so that every reincarnation is allergic to the pomegranate seeds, so they're essentially poisoned every time he tries to feed them to her. So anyways, this is really a fun adventure. So clearly we're in modern times dealing with Hades and our new Persephone reincarnation. This was really good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this. I think Hades was so well done, and the way they handled the Persephone character I think was well done. There's going to be at least one other book in this. With where they left it, it has to be at least a duology. So I'm definitely looking forward to continuing on with it. I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy. It has to at least be a duology, though, to finish out the story. So again, I really enjoyed this. I highly recommend picking it up. This is from a smaller press, so definitely go give it some love. I highly recommend that you do. Okay, so that's what I read off my e-reader. I don't typically read a lot off my e-reader, but yes, I really enjoyed this. So we're going to go ahead and dig right into the physical things that I read. I'm going to start with the books and then end with the manga. There's quite a bit of manga that I read recently. So if you're here for the books, yay. If you're here for the manga, stick around a little bit longer. And then if you don't want to watch the manga part, you can just sign off after that. So first up, we're going to talk about 2 books from the same series. This is the Dragon Falls series by Katie McAllister. So I have book 1, Dragon Fall, and book 2, Dragon Storm, that I've read recently. So what turned me on to this author in these books were In August, I read Memoirs of a Dragon Hunter by the same author. I do have a full review for that one, so I will leave that linked for you. But it kind of opened up this world of dragons and things, and she had this series that she had already written. So now I'm going back and reading these. So this is the first two. I do have the third one because I believe it's just a trilogy for now. So I will be continuing on and reading the other one relatively soon. September was Smutty September. It went really well for me, but I think I burned myself out just a tiny bit on my smut. So I think I'm going to backtrack from that, go to some fantasy, maybe spend some time with some manga, and go from there. But yes, these are really enjoyable. The women are always very strong and very sassy, and so I really like them for that. And the guys, you know, start out overbearing, but of course they're just teddy bears for their girls, and they're very protective of them. Anyways, I really enjoy the series. I think it's a lot of fun. You know, I never really, outside of Acheron from the Dark Hunter series, I don't really give much paranormal romance above a 4 stars just because I really enjoy them. They're a lot of fun, but they're not the best books ever written. So they always end up with a 4 from me. But again, a 4 from a paranormal smutty romance book means I really liked it. So next up we have a book that was originally supposed to be part of my contemporary thon TBR, but I decided to swap it with something else. But I did end up reading The Paris Seamstress by Natasha Lester. This takes place in 2 different timelines. So we have an early 1940s timeline during World War II, and then we have a present day timeline, and it all revolves around fashion and this fashion icon and how she got started in the US in the early 1940s, and then it's about her granddaughter in present time. So they both experience love stories, and it's really fun, really engaging, really enjoyable. I really enjoyed the writing. I thought Natasha Lester did a great job with this. I gave it 4 stars. I do recommend picking it up if you like those swapping multiple timelines, because I think this one was very well done. So, highly recommend. And next up, this book I just finished last night, and that is Mammoth by Jill Bakuchinsky. I believe this comes out on Tuesday. This is coming out soon. I'll put the date here if I remember to. This is about Natalie Page, and she is a plus-sized, paleontology-loving teenage girl, and she gets the internship of a lifetime at a dig site in Texas. So she goes on this, she ends up meeting some really wonderful people. She talks about putting on like her clothes and her makeup and things as putting on her armor. And I think this was very well done. I think it represented what a plus-size teen feels like at times. She's got family who loves her no matter her size, and so they really try to empower her and strengthen her, but inside she doesn't really feel that. Through the people that she meets within the story, she starts to feel that for herself. And I think this is a beautiful coming-of-age story in that regard. There is some romance in here. There's a little bit of a love triangle, but not really. It's interesting. The way the romance develops in this one is really good. I am a huge fan of the guy that she ends up with. Like, I think he's almost cinnamon roll status. He is just this sweet little Texas boy with a drawl, and I think he's amazing. But yes, anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed Mammoth. I do suggest picking this up. This isn't just, you know, a plus-size teen who doesn't love herself learning to love herself. There is so much more. There's actual paleontology science in here. Some of it is a little bit convenient for plot's sake, but for the most part, it's really enjoyable. I think this is a very important book. It does focus on the fact that STEM programs are important, and having a smart teenage girl is not a bad thing. She learns so many things, and so I definitely suggest picking up Mammoth. I think it's wonderful. Definitely check it out. And from this point on, we are in manga land, so if you're not here for the manga, go ahead and sign off. Thanks for coming by. But if you love manga, stick around, because I've got quite a few volumes to talk to you about. Let's start with the only series that I read 2 volumes from in this period of time, and that is Takane and Hana. So I've got volume 4 and volume 5 that I've read recently. This is a story about a 26-year-old man who gets set up on a marriage interview unintentionally with a 16-year-old. Essentially, it was supposed to be with the older sister who was in her early 20s. Older sister didn't want to go. Younger sister goes in her place so dad doesn't lose his job because dad works at the company. And she ends up standing up to Takane. Hana stands up to Takane, and he's immediately intrigued. So he continues to chase her, and they have for all intensive purposes, they really have a pretty innocent relationship at this point because she is young, and so he's not really crossing those boundaries, but they've formed a really sweet friendship in the meantime, and they both have feelings for each other, but they're not acting on them at this point because that could be detrimental to his career as he is set up to take over his family's company. So it's really fun. I laugh so hard when I read these. Like, I highly suggest if you're just looking for something fun and lighthearted and that will make you laugh, this is really a pretty good fit for that. And I really enjoy the series. So I believe only the 5 volumes are out right now. I think there's at least one more. I don't remember for sure. But anyways, yes, check out Takane and Hana if you haven't. Next up, I was so excited when I saw this volume. Like, even though it wasn't on sale, I went ahead and bought it anyway because I was so anticipating it. And that is volume 7 of The Water Dragon's Bride. I love this series so much. This definitely gives me the vibes of Ancient Magus Bride. So if you're looking for something like Ancient Magus Bride, definitely check these out. So this is about Asai, and as a young girl, she ends up falling into the pond in her backyard and ends up transported into a different era of Japan, and through circumstances ends up sacrificed to the water dragon god. And he decides to save her and actually make her his bride. It's a really interesting story. I've really thoroughly enjoyed it. There is a love triangle within this. Anyways, yes, there's so much going on in here, and it's so good. It's so good, guys. It's like, oh, I really like this. I gush over manga so much, I know, guys, but I really enjoy this series a lot. So, highly recommend this series if you're looking for something like Ancient Magus Bride. Definitely. Another volume that came out recently was volume 5 of Girl from the Other Side. Now, this is a series that I end up reading very quickly because they have much bigger panels and a lot less writing on them. It's just a very visual volume, and so I really enjoy it for that. But again, this was one that I picked up when I was looking for something like Ancient Magus Bride, when I went and binged that and ran out of stuff to read. And this is about a young girl who lives on the outside with the outsiders. And for some reason, she doesn't become an outsider, and so they're trying to figure out why. And it's a really interesting story. A lot has happened by this point. It's amazing what manga can accomplish in 5 short volumes. And it's so good. I highly recommend picking up this series. The art style's a bit different for manga. It's much more sketch-like than a traditional manga, but I really, really love this. So again, I highly recommend checking out this series if you're looking for something a little bit different, but kind of like Ancient Magus Bride. Clearly, that's my aesthetic in life. This volume I about cried when I picked it up, and that is volume 6 of Wake Up Sleeping Beauty, which does conclude Wake Up Sleeping Beauty. I do plan on filming a full review for this series here soon, but this is a paranormal, high school style paranormal romance kind of volume story for manga, and it's so good. It's about so much more than that, obviously, but I really love how this turned out. This cover is just amazing. I don't know if it'll really do it much justice. That's pretty good right there. But anyways, I love this. I love our characters. Wake Up Sleeping Beauty. It's so good, guys. Wait for the forthcoming gush review over this series. I've got 2 more series that I've also continued on in. So we've got volume 2 of Hatsuharu. This is a series about a playboy who ends up hit by this girl who is on the softball team, and now he's enamored with her because she's not throwing herself at him, and he's kind of formed a crush on her. So it's kind of about them stumbling through getting to know each other, and it's really cute. It's really fun. Again, I really like our sassy female character, and I just really enjoy the series for what it is. So far, there's only 2 volumes out in the US, and so definitely keep your eye out for this one if it sounds interesting to you at all. And last but not least, for continuing on in series that I'd already started, we have volume 4 of Frau Faust. This is a take on the tale of Faust and the deal that they made with the demon, and this is a really fun series. This is by the same author as Ancient Magus Bride, so I really like the writing style, I really like the art style. I've really enjoyed this. I know there's at least 1 more volume in this. There might be a 6th one, but I think it's only 5 long. So I'm just looking for that last volume to finish out the story. And it's so good, guys. Like, I highly recommend this. Again, sassy characters. and, you know, paranormal happiness, and it's just good, guys. Like, Frau Faust is good. If you've been curious about it at all, definitely pick it up. I've picked up 2 newer series to me. They've been out for a bit, but they're new to me, and I've read the first volumes in each of them. So the first one is That Wolf Boy Is Mine. So this is about a girl who transfers to a new school. She goes from living with her mom to her living with her dad. She goes to a new school, and she ends up inadvertently stumbling into the crowd of popular, gorgeous boys, of course. Obviously, this is a reverse harem, and each of these boys it's kind of like Fruits Basket, where it has that paranormal element where they're all different animals. And it's really fun so far. I've only read this first volume, but I gave it 4 stars. I highly recommend it. I think it's really fun. There's a particular reason why I picked up this volume that will be revealed in an upcoming video, but again, I really enjoyed this one, and I do plan on continuing on with the series. And last but not least, we have volume 1 of Waiting for Spring. This is again, reverse harem style teenage romance. This gives me feels of like Ouran High School Host Club a little bit, where a shy, somewhat clumsy girl ends up stumbling into a relationship with all the gorgeous boys on the basketball team. And it's really fun. I really like the guys on the basketball team. They're all decent guys. One has a crush on her older sister and, you know, tries asking her out and things like that. Like, it's really interesting. It's really fun. This first volume was thoroughly entertaining, that's for sure. So I do plan on continuing on with this series as well. And again, if you've been curious about Waiting for Spring at all, I do suggest picking it up. Okay, guys, so that is it for this particular video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite thing you've read recently is, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.